What you see here are some of the most terrifying mechanical sharks in the world.
And we're going to cover all of them, from submechanophobia nightmares to giant sharks. But which one is the most terrifying?
We're Luz and Sauko, and today you rank the scariest submerged shark animatronics of all time. Take it away, Will.
ROBOSHARK. Did you know that this shark was created to debunk myths? The ROBOSHARK, known to fans of Mythbusters, was created for the Mythbusters Shark Week special in 2008. Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman designed this mechanical shark with the utmost anatomical precision because the aim was to test the myth that you could survive a great white shark attack by poking it in the eye. The team meticulously crafted the shark, basing it on a real great white shark, even replicating the actual force of its bite. The gigantic animatronic was taken to Risco Bay, where they first tested its bite force on a surfboard, and then put it to the ultimate test, using pork meat to demonstrate that this shark is indeed a killing machine. Seeing the submerged shark with all its mechanisms, and Jamie so close, is a true nightmare. Finally, the Mythbusters called Tori Bellecci, with the surprise that he would be the test subject against the shark. Of course, they changed the shark's metal teeth to rubber to ensure Tori's safety. Imagine having to interact directly in the water with this nightmare while it's attacking you. In the end, Tori managed to turn off the shark by poking it in the eye. Adam then decided to take the test in various positions and successfully turned off the shark by poking it in the eye multiple times. This led the Mythbusters to conclude that the myth was plausible. What seems implausible to us is that the ROBOSHARK is at the bottom of the list, as the Duck Squad placed it in the lowest tier with one shark. If you agree that it should have been in the top 5 at least, comment with the hashtag #JusticeForRoboShark. If you love animatronics, please like the video and don't forget to subscribe. Sydney Aquarium. Our next contender may not be as terrifying or awe-inspiring as some of the other entries on this list, but its level of realism certainly earns it a place here. This gigantic 22-foot shark was created by Creature NFX Workshop, an Australian studio specializing in animatronics and puppets. It was designed for an exhibition on sharks at the Sydney Aquarium. This shark was sculpted with meticulous detail, including articulations in its jaw and eyes. In fact, the shark moves its eyes just like a real shark. It's worth noting that this shark is not in the water or submerged, which might have slightly reduced its impact. Perhaps that's why you, the viewers, placed it in the lowest tier of this list, with just one shark out of 5. Animated Extras. Daisy. Animated Extras is a renowned, award-winning studio located in the UK, specializing in special effects since 1986. Their work can be seen in films from Age of Ultron to Christopher Robin. One of their specialties is undoubtedly shark animatronics, especially their animatronic great white sharks that have appeared in movies like Kon-Tiki and Blood in the Water. One of these animatronics is Daisy, a full-body animatronic with anatomically precise movements, mirroring those of a real shark. Daisy is controlled remotely by a team of experts, and these sharks come as close as possible to a realistic and lifelike representation. Seeing them in action is truly terrifying. However, perhaps their natural movement led to the Duck Squad to rank them in the lowest tier on this list, with just one shark out of 5. Safari World. Everyone might think that the Jungle Cruise is a ride with the most submechanophobia-inducing animals. However, what few people know is that there's a ride that beats the Jungle Cruise due to a sneaky and tricky detail. We're talking about the Safari River ride located at Safari World in Bangkok. This ride is packed with animatronic animals, but what really catches your eye is one specific creature that seems entirely out of place. Near the end of the ride, a terrifying animatronic shark, closely resembling Bruce, emerges from the depths. It's quite unbelievable to see a great white shark in the jungle, but this doesn't diminish the terrifying aspect of the animatronic. Its proximity to the vehicle makes it even scarier. The animatronic, or rather animated prop, is quite simple, and perhaps that's why the Duck Squad placed it in the lowest tier of this list, with just one shark out of 5. Jeff Bellamy Shark. Now we move on to the next tier, where we're going to encounter some horrifying creatures and some that are a bit more on the comical side, like this one, which might be the funniest and least terrifying entry on the list. But it's entirely homemade and worth being on this list. This homemade animatronic represents a person being devoured by a shark and was created by BELLAMY for a scarecrow competition. The animatronic is controlled by cables and made entirely from household materials. One fascinating aspect would be to know if this animatronic is waterproof, which would increase its level of terror. In our opinion, this shark should have been in the honorable mentions, but you placed it in this tier, with 2 sharks out of 5. Shark Voyage. In Houston, Texas, specifically at the downtown aquarium, dwells a creature that has given rise to a new generation of submechanophobes. This creature can be found on the train ride known as Shark Voyage. The ride takes you through a shark tank and then leads you outside the aquarium, where everything seems peaceful until we suddenly spot a small pond. Out of nowhere, a jet of water emerges, followed by the appearance of this terrifying shark. The animatronic is somewhat small, but what makes it horrifying is that you can see all the mechanical elements through the water. Another aspect that adds to its terror is those enormous jaws, giving it a monstrous appearance. It reminds us a lot of Nemesis from Resident Evil 3, don't you think? Despite all this creature didn't manage to make it to the top ranks. And as we continue down the list, you'll see why. This shark found its place in this tier, with 2 sharks out of 5. Fluffy Shark. Dreamworld on Australia's Gold Coast once hosted the world's first Vekoma Waikiki wave super flip, named the Wipeout. It spun riders in every direction, much like being in a blender, but the real thrill was underneath. Fluffy, a life-sized animatronic shark that seemed ready to snatch anyone who fell into its lagoon. Although Fluffy looked very realistic, the absence of eye or jaw movements slightly broke the illusion. Due to water issues and wear, the lagoon was drained and Fluffy was sadly removed. Still, the Wipeout remained, and over the years, it underwent many changes until its 2019 closure. Imagine the thrill of riding above a predatory shark. But its lack of movement is probably what made you guys place Fluffy in this tier, with 2 sharks out of 5. The Last Shark. Ever heard of the Italian Jaws? The Last Shark animatronic from the 1981 film The Last Shark may have not had the budget of Hollywood blockbusters, but it packed a punch with its charm. Using crafty camera work and the occasional real shark footage, they managed to bring a sense of dread every time the animatronic predator lurked below the waves. Despite its limitations and campy appeal, this animatronic shark holds a special place in the hearts of B-movie fans. However, the Duck Squad seems to have underrated this iconic creature, placing it merely in the 2 sharks out of 5 tier. Animatronic Shark Test. We've reached the halfway point in the list, where we're going to encounter the heavyweights of sharks. From this point on, you can't afford to miss any of them. This entry here is probably the irrational fear of many here: a great white shark in a swimming pool. This video has over 4.7 million views on YouTube, and it's not surprising because this footage is genuinely terrifying. But who created this monstrosity? This shark has a little secret. It's not an animatronic at all. It's a sea bob piloted by a diver and was created by VFX Lab of Bob Wasson, a studio specializing in special effects and design. They're responsible for creating everything from animatronics to digital effects. This experiment took place at the Hilton Doubletree in San Bernardino, and was done with guests present who were obviously left shocked when they saw such a creature swimming in the pool. What about you? Well, you placed this shark in tier 3, with 3 sharks. Walter Conti. Deep Blue. In our humble opinion, these are the best shark animatronics ever created. Designed by Walter Conti for the movie Deep Blue Sea, they were specifically created to depict realistic shark attack scenes. Walter Conti followed the Spielberg method of having a real monster on the set. But unlike the problematic animatronics used in Jaws, these were designed for seamless swimming, chasing, and attacking. They enhanced realism by accurately mimicking actual shark movements through remote control and meticulous design, a process that took over 8 months. A combination of CGI and animatronics was used to achieve added realism, evoking genuine fear especially in those with submechanophobia. The film's animatronics showcase lifelike shark behaviors and set a new industry standard, making Deep Blue Sea a notable example of realistic animatronics in cinema. That's why the Duck Squad placed them in this tier, with 3 sharks out of 5. Shark Pirates Adventures. Our next contender comes from a retired ride at Drayton Manor in England called Pirates Adventure. Many argue that this ride is a ripoff of Pirates of the Caribbean due to the similarity of scenes. However, one scene that you won't find in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride is the one where you can observe a shark fin, or, well, a shark fin prop, chasing a pirate in an infinite loop. The scene is quite terrifying, especially for those with submechanophobia. Despite it not being an animatronic and not even a complete shark prop, this shark fin has made its way into Tier 3, with 3 sharks. Perhaps it's because the scene makes you imagine what it would be like to swim with such a creature in those murky waters. SHARKZILLA. Another contender created for Shark Week, this time Discovery Channel, along with the Mythbusters, commissioned the creation of SHARKZILLA to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Shark Week. They came up with a gigantic 52-foot metallic megalodon capable of demolishing a jet ski and practically anything in its path with its bite. Technifex was responsible for bringing this destruction machine to life. Technifex's megalodon replica is a 52-foot mechanical marvel, with a lifelike inflatable vinyl body and 92 steel teeth cast from real megalodon fossils. It mirrors the fearsome bite of a great white shark, unleashing a formidable 20,000-pound bite force with its 8,000-pound ductile iron jaws. Perhaps the power of this bite is what earned it a spot in this tier, with 3 out of 5 sharks. Mutiny Bay Shark, Alton Towers. This shark, much to our surprise, managed to secure a spot in the top 10. Mutiny Bay is a pirate-themed land located at Alton Towers, which opened in 2008. It features various attractions like the soaking wet battle galleons, the teacup-style Marauders Mayhem, the gentle rock-and-tug pirate boat Heave-Ho, and even an aquarium-like experience called Sharkbait Reef by Sea Life. Within this themed area, there is a kind of lake where you can see a piece of a ship, and circling around these remains is an animatronic shark. This animatronic is semi-submerged, and it's designed to look as realistic as possible, even though it's primarily an animated prop. As simple as it may seem, this small detail makes this area stand out, and that's likely why it receives such a high placement in the list. Congratulations to all Alton Towers fans, as this shark is in Tier 2, with 4 sharks according to the Duck Squad. 18-meter animatronic megalodon. This is the largest animatronic on our list, measuring 59 feet in length. This megalodon has left a lasting impact on various guests at exhibitions. This massive animatronic was created by Hualong Dino Works, a Chinese company founded in 1996 that specializes in creating enormous animatronics for theme parks and exhibitions. Their animatronics have been featured in more than 200 theme parks across 70 countries. This 59-foot megalodon comes with an $8,000 price tag, and Hualong also takes care of transportation and logistics to place it wherever it's needed. Honestly, considering the potential and fear factor it can bring to an attraction, it's not that much. It would be greatly enhanced if it were submerged or partially submerged in water. However, this didn't detract from the Duck Squad's judgment, as they placed it in this tier, giving it 4 sharks out of 5. Two-headed shark attack. The asylum is infamous for its low-budget movies and shameless ripoffs, also known as mockbusters, like Transmorphers or The Avengers Grimm. They are also known for their notorious and ridiculous shark movies like Sharknado, and of course, Two-Headed Shark Attack. This ultra-low-budget and tongue-in-cheek film is filled with CGI shots that look like they came from a PS2 game. But the production also decided to use some practical effects, like this gigantic and terrifying two-headed shark prop. Honestly, we can't deny that seeing it in the water is truly terrifying. The shark was used in some scenes where the actors interact closely with it. Despite the movie's campy and not-so-serious nature, the Duck Squad has decided to place the two-headed shark in this tier, with 4 sharks. Among the scariest sharks on this list, Jaws movie animatronics. It's incredible to think that Bruce, the king of submechanophobia, didn't rank in the top 5. How is it possible that the animatronic that started it all isn't number 1? This franchise had a plethora of mechanical sharks, and we actually have a complete video explaining the evolution of these incredible animatronics, which you can watch in the description or by clicking on the card. But here's a summary for you. It all began with Bruce in 1975. This wasn't just a giant fake shark, it was a game changer that sent shivers down people's spines. However, creating Bruce was no easy feat. Despite a team of experts led by Robert A. Matty, the harsh ocean posed challenges, causing rust and even sinking Bruce at one point. Nevertheless, our metal shark emerged, leaving a terrifying mark in movie history. The success of Bruce led Universal to create an even scarier Bruce 2 for Jaws 2. This shark had a more menacing appearance, but it still had to battle the unforgiving sea, testing the team's resolve. Yet, Bruce 2 swam into movie legend, leaving a chilling story of what lurks beneath. Then came Jaws 3D, which traded real steel for computer tricks, mixing mini sharks with CGI. However, the effects fell flat, leaving fans longing for the eerie realism of the old sharks. Jaws 4 attempted to recapture the thrill with a squad of mechanical sharks, crafted by Henry Miller. These beasts were meant to dazzle, but despite the cool robot sharks, the movie faced rough waters with critics. This legacy has led to the historic animatronics being placed in this tier, with 4 sharks out of 5. GORE Galore Shark. And finally, we've reached our top 5. These, in your opinion, are the most terrifying sharks of all time. We begin with this horrifying megalodon created by GORE Galore, leaders in haunted house props. This animatronic operates mounted on a track with full motion capabilities, capable of biting at or bumping into unsuspecting victims. It's undoubtedly one of the largest animatronics in GORE Galore's arsenal, and comes in 2 versions: as a zombie shark or a terrifying megalodon. This creature features LED eyes and pneumatics to control jaw movement, with a control arm equipped with push-button controls. The best part is, if you happen to have $7,000 lying around, you can have it in your own home or attraction. The Duck Squad has decided to place it in the top tier, with 5 sharks, as one of the most spine-chilling sharks in history. ROSIE the Shark. This is undoubtedly the saddest story on this list, and it may not involve a prop or animatronic, but you requested that tribute be paid to ROSIE, so here we go. ROSIE's story dates back to 1997, when, in her quest for tuna, ROSIE was caught in a net and had to be sacrificed as she couldn't be safely released. ROSIE was in almost perfect condition at the time of her death, so they decided to put her through a taxidermy process in 1998. Wildlife Wonderland acquired ROSIE for their zoo, where she was to be on display. However, the Australian government had a report of a missing person in the area, so they investigated to see if ROSIE had any human remains. ROSIE tested negative in the autopsy, and finally arrived at Wildlife Wonderland, where she stayed until 2012. In 2013, Wildlife Wonderland closed its doors and transferred all its animals, but ROSIE was left abandoned in a tank filled with formaldehyde. The sight of the abandoned shark was horrifying. For years, the park remained abandoned, and vandalism destroyed the top of the tank containing ROSIE. After thousands of online petitions to rescue ROSIE, Tom Capitani took ownership of ROSIE in 2019. It required a massive effort to dispose of the contaminated formaldehyde before she could be moved safely. With a significant group effort from the current landowner and Membreys Crane Hire, ROSIE the shark was lifted out of the abandoned wildlife park and on her way to her new home at Crystal World. ROSIE is now at her forever home at Crystal World Exhibition Center, where she is being restored and will soon be on permanent display as work is underway to expand the building, creating a space for the ROSIE the Shark exhibition area. At least this story had a somewhat happy ending, which is why the Duck Squad placed ROSIE among the most chilling sharks in history. Shark Hollywood Tour. We find ourselves back on the Hollywood Tour, which only fills us with sadness, because knowing that this ride was closed and left abandoned is truly heart-wrenching. But to the consolation of all our German ducks, you can proudly say that the terrifying shark from this ride is in the top 3 of the most terrifying sharks of all time. This shark was once part of the Hollywood Tour at Phantasialand in Germany, a water ride that took guests on a journey through scenes from iconic Hollywood films. The ride was captivating and quite cool. but it had its terrifying moments. One of the scariest parts was when, in a cave, the boat sank into the water for a few meters, and suddenly, a shark emerged from the water and attacked the boat. And if that wasn't enough, another shark attacked from the opposite direction. Sometimes the second shark might not attack, but always lurked in the background, inducing panic and fear. What made these sharks truly terrifying was their deteriorated state over time, giving them the nightmare appearance of submechanophobia. Hollywood Tour was undoubtedly a frightening journey through the world of film and cinema. We are saddened by the fact that this ride no longer exists. However, the Duck Squad recognizes its terror, and that's why they placed this shark in the legendary tier with 5 sharks, as one of the most spine-chilling sharks in history. Shark, Lake Nukatel. Now we get to the creme de la creme, one of the most popular submechanophobia-inducing pieces. You might have seen images or videos of this shark before, and it is honestly terrifying. This shark is currently abandoned in the Lake of Nukatel in Switzerland. Dozens of videos have emerged showing the impressive sculpture worn out by the lake and sometimes full of small fish. This has caused a fascination around the world, and people want to know where this nightmare came from. Well, this chilling sculpture was made in 2007 for the short movie Chocolat. The shark appears swimming around inside the water during some scenes in the short. At the end of the production, the crew didn't know what to do with the shark, so they threw it into the water to scare divers that were swimming around the area. Since then, the shark has been visited by explorers. This sculpture is 41 meters long and 40 meters deep from shore to lake. But the most impressive thing about this lake is that this is not the only sculpture found on this lake according to this map made by local divers. Here you can see divers that can find a bathtub, a gnome, a dolphin, a sailboat, and if you swim even deeper, you can find a terrifying dragon totally submerged. This lake is undoubtedly a terrifying place to swim in. That's why the Duck Squad placed this shark in the top tier, with 5 sharks. Before moving on to our number 1 on the list, we have to give some honorable mentions to Bruce from Twins FX, the Megalodon at the American Museum of Natural History. This tribute to Jaws at Seaport Village in Ocean City. Now, let's reveal our number 1. And now we've arrived at the most terrifying shark of all time. And we're delighted that it's the animatronic from one of our all-time favorite rides, Jaws the Ride. It makes complete sense for it to be number 1 on this list, because it's the only one where you directly and extremely interact with the shark attacking throughout the entire ride. The ride is set on Amity Island, and takes guests on a tour of the sites where the attacks occurred. Apparently, Bruce the shark is not gone, and he attacks the tour boats. Each attack is more terrifying than the previous one, but the most frightening part is when the shark emerges right next to the tour boat, but accidentally bites down on a submerged power cable from the barge and electrocutes itself. It then re-emerges, wholly burnt, to attack for the last time. But the skipper shoots at it with a grenade launcher. This ride had its ups and downs over the years, and closed permanently in 2011 to make way for the expansion of Diagon Alley. Fortunately, this ride still lives on in Universal Studios Japan, where we can continue to enjoy Bruce's attacks in an enhanced version. We'll also include Bruce from Universal Studios Hollywood, whose initial design was quite peculiar, earning him the nickname Carrot Tooth. Additionally, his mechanism used to raise much higher than it does today. This little segment on the studio tour is a favorite among fans of the parks. Like the Jaws ride, Bruce in the theme parks is the most chilling shark animatronic of all time. Leave a shark emoji to celebrate with Bruce, and let us know what you want us to rank next. See you next time.